So this is another one of those questions that I get very regularly. So here's the answer. People are always asking me how they can tell who their bar raiser is. So there are kind of two parts I'm going to go over here. So I'm going to start with how you work out who your bar raiser is, assuming it matters. And actually it doesn't matter, and I'll talk to you about why it doesn't matter later. I'm not sure that's the right way around, but hey, that's the way I'm going to do it. So let's assume that it actually matters who your bar raiser is in your interview. There's actually no single cut and dry way of working it out. I talk in one of my previous videos about bar raisers and the role of bar raisers, and I'm going to cut across a little bit of that information here. I try very hard not to duplicate information in my videos. I hate it when I'm looking at the other Amazon interview coaches out there and so much content is repeated. I try not to do that, but I'm going to bleed a little bit this time, so I'm sorry. Okay, so what I describe is how your panel is made up. And your panel is made up in this way. So you'll be a hiring manager. Who's your hiring manager? They will be on the panel. Sometimes they're not, but it's very, very rare and not best practice. What you'll then have is a couple of people from your immediate team and a couple of people from adjacent teams. And of course, that makes total sense, right? Your hiring manager has to want to hire you. The people on your immediate team have to think you're bar raising and want to work with you. And same with adjacent teams, teams that you work with really regularly. They obviously also need to buy into you as a candidate. The bar raiser doesn't come from your immediate team or an adjacent team. And that's because their purpose in the process is to be an independent third party who doesn't have skin in the game in filling a hole in a team, doesn't have skin in the game in terms of just thinking about that particular role. Their job is to be a super objective third party, make sure that the candidate absolutely raises the bar on the leadership principles, regardless of how fabulously technically skilled they are. They have to raise the bar on the leadership principles, and that they're going to be a good long-term hire for Amazon. That's the role of the bar raiser. So generally, they are not from the team or the adjacent teams that you are going to be interacting with for the rest of the interview. That can be really obvious sometimes. So in the scenario where maybe candidates were coming into one of my loops and I was bar raiser, I was a senior manager in marketing. I bar raised on software development engineer roles, solution design architects, loss prevention, the list goes on and on. If you're a candidate and you're applying for any of those roles and you see some random senior manager marketing out there, it's going to be pretty obvious to you that I'm the bar raiser. Not always that obvious, because either sometimes Amazon job titles are a little bit peculiar in Amazon's way, so it's hard to really tell whether someone is or isn't part of that organization, or indeed sometimes the organizations themselves are so big that a job title can look like the person is very much related to the team that you're applying for, but from an organizational design point of view, actually, they might be quite a few places removed from the team that you're applying for. So it's a possible route, but it's absolutely not foolproof. So I said at the beginning, I would talk to you about pretending as if it mattered, and actually it doesn't matter. So now I'm going to explain to you why it doesn't actually matter to you who your bar raiser is. And the reason that is when you're in an interview with a bar raiser, it is exactly the same format of interview that you'll have with anybody else on the panel. The questions that they're going to ask you are exactly the same types of questions that you would get from anyone else on the panel. What they want from your answers to those questions in terms of evidence that you demonstrate behaviors that are aligned to the leadership principles is exactly the same as any other interviewer would expect. From your point of view as a candidate, your experience with a bar raiser should be no different to your experience with anybody else on the panel. There are no special questions they're going to ask you. There are no unique things that the bar raiser is looking for from you that no one else is. Don't believe any of the nonsense that you read online about needing special strategies for your bar raiser interview. No, you need to nail your interview every time with every interviewer. So if it mentally helps you, imagine every single interviewer is the bar raiser, and then you can't go wrong. You won't be in a situation where you haven't played your A game with the bar raiser if you assume everyone is the bar raiser. But really the role of the bar raiser is behind the scenes in terms of the candidate. Everything that they do, from the admin to managing the debrief to coaching interviewers in terms of their skills and their development, all of that is behind the scenes. To you, it really doesn't matter. So if it helps, just treat everybody like they're the bar raiser and you can't possibly go wrong. So I hope you found that video useful. Now, if you don't want to take any chances with your Amazon interview, then I suggest you just take a look at this video here. It's going to tell you all about the Amazon Interview Wiz Academy, which is my affordable way for accessing deep, expert Amazon interview coaching from me. So until next time, take care.